put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K,
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K, 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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. With Tony Marinaro.
55 seconds left in the penalty, a minute and 27 seconds left in regulation time. Boston 4, Montreal 3. Lafleur coming out rather gingerly on the right side. He gives it into Lemaire, back to Lafleur.
The sickest Montreal Canadiens podcast.
You're in the ball!
Sports entertainment like no other.
Rejoint, on lui fait perdre la rondelle, une passe devant. Et c'est le dégagement et ce sera la victoire des Canadiens. Coupe Stanley pour les Canadiens. Le 23e de l'histoire.
You found the dogs! John, you found the dogs! He found the dogs!
And all together, they worked a young team to the top. And now, a 24th Stanley Cup banner will hang from the rafters of the famous Forum in Montreal. The Canadiens win the Stanley Cup.
Brought to you by Energy Transportation Group. Driven to be different. La Vida Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination. It's gonna be sick.
Marinaro on this Wednesday, March 12th. The Montreal Canadiens were in Vancouver tonight. It was a 10 p.m. Eastern start. We've never, I don't think, started a sick podcast as late as 12:52 a.m. Eastern. We thought about it today and we said the Montreal Canadiens wanted to be in the mix. Kent Hughes said they deserved to be in the mix, and that's why he rewarded everyone by keeping them here and not trading away any unrestricted free agents. And Yellow and I looked at each other and we said our listeners and our viewers deserve for us to give them a Habs podcast, a Habs post-game show on the Sick Podcast in this very important game, because if the Montreal Canadiens would win the game, they would still be knocking on the door and they would be in the mix. And when they did, they went into Vancouver, they didn't score one, they didn't score two, they didn't score three, they scored four. The Montreal Canadiens beat the Vancouver Canucks by a score of 4-2. The Sick Podcast brought to you in part by Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America, driven to be different. Also, if you're looking for the ultimate entertainment experience, look no further than Playground. From thrilling gaming and world-class poker to exquisite dining, live music, electrifying DJs, Playground has it all. Deliver with unmatched customer service, conveniently located just minutes from downtown Montreal, right across the Mercier Bridge. Why settle for less when you can have it all at Playground, your top destination for non-stop fun? Visit playground.ca for details. I think the story of tonight's game was the Montreal Canadiens' first line of Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky. They were a force to be reckoned with. Does Pierre McGuire agree with me? We'll find out in about a minute. It's time for the McGuire Report.
The McGuire Report. Presented by Vago Italian.
And Restaurant Vago is open 23 years. And by the way, I can tell you that I was there last week with my wife, and I was there with the family. And what did I have? Linguini alle vongole. And I was told it's Pierre Maguire's favorite dish. I was told that by Tommaso, who you'll see him at the front door. He'll be there to greet you. They've been open once again, 23 years, longevity. Not many restaurants open that long. Private dining, rooms for any occasions, birthday engagements, corporate meetings. It was full, by the way, on a Saturday night. Plenty of free parking after 6 p.m. Open Monday to Saturday evenings and lunch Tuesday to Friday. Fresh quality ingredients, old world Italian classics and new Italian. Come see Tommaso, the most popular man in Westmount, at the front door. And Angelo is in the kitchen. Clearly, it's not only one of my favorites, too, but it's also a favorite of Mitsumi Takahashi's, because she was there that night that I was having supper there. So hello to Mitsumi, because I didn't have a chance to say hello to her. So this is me saying hello to her right now. Pierre, how are you?
I'm excellent, Tony. Good to talk with you. And yes, I agree with you 100% on the linguini alla vangola. And I also agree with you on the top line of the Montreal Canadiens. You know, Cole Caulfield was great. Yuri Slafkovsky was great, but always better than Nick Suzuki. Nick Suzuki was outstanding in this game.
Pierre, I don't like the top line has scored goals in the past, obviously. I mean, I read a stat earlier tonight. I think there's, let me see if I can find it. Anyway, there's 3 or 4 lines that have actually scored more goals 5-on-5 than the Suzuki line. There's not many.
One in Winnipeg for sure, I'll tell you that.
That is absolutely correct. So it's Guillaume Villemer of TVA Sports that put up the most goals by a line at 5v5 this season. 44 by Scheifele, Velarde, and Kyle Connor of the Winnipeg Jets. Second, Rangers line of Trocheck, Panarin, and Lafreniere with 35. And the line of Suzuki, Slafkovsky, and Caulfield, I believe, at the 33 or 34. Anyway, they're third in the National Hockey League. It's pretty amazing. Pierre, I've never seen them dominate like they dominated tonight. Like Cole Caulfield was throwing hits. Juraj Slafkovsky was winning battles. Marcus Pettersson ran into Nick Suzuki and like he bounced off of him and he went flying like 100 feet. Suzuki made a play, Pierre. I know that you saw it because you got eyes better than most. He made a play on that second goal of the hockey game.
The no-touch play in the neutral zone. Brilliant hockey play.
Unbelievable, Pierre.
Brilliant hockey play, yeah.
It was really, really unbelievable. Why don't we get to the starting lineup right now? And we want to thank everyone for watching us right now on YouTube because, once again, we've never been on this late or this early in the morning, depending which way you look at it. And as we speak, we have about 1,000 people watching us right now on YouTube alone. Agnello and Sammy at Master Control. You'll let me know how many people we have watching on Twitter and how many people we have watching on Facebook, because I'd like to say hello to everyone who's watching on Twitter and everyone who's watching on Facebook as well. So Sammy says we have 2,000 on Twitter right now and 1,000 on YouTube. Thank you very much, Sammy. If you can get me the Facebook numbers, that would be pretty cool as well, or even the total numbers. Why not? The first line of Suzuki with Slafkovsky on his right and Caulfield on his left. The second line, which I'm sure we're going to talk about tonight, Newhook playing center with Gallagher on his right and Joshua Roy on his left. The line of Dvorak with Pizzette on his right and Anderson on his left, and Evans with Armia on his right and Heineman on his left. That's the line that started the game for the Canadiens, as they usually start games with their fourth line on the ice to start the games. On defense, Matheson with Carey on his right, Struble with Hudson playing on the right side there. But I actually saw them interchange throughout the game, so we'll talk about that as well. Jacky and Savard, and in goal, Samuel Montembeault. Pierre, you can't get off to a better start than that, huh?
No, the start was good. The interesting part about Caulfield, Suzuki, and Slafkovsky, all three of their goals were off the rush. They were all extremely talented type skill plays. They were tremendous tempo and speed. That's a Vancouver defense that that's being coached up by Adam Foote, so they want to be very aggressive in the neutral zone. The Canadiens exposed them numerous times, but in particular that top trio that you were talking about with Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky.
Pierre, there was one Vancouver defenseman that I thought got caught out of position on several occasions tonight. As a matter of fact, he got caught out of position on the first goal of the hockey game, and I think he got caught out of position on the third goal of the hockey game, but I have to re-see it. And that's, and the third goal, correct, on the first and on the third, and that's Tyler Myers. He was caught out of position on several occasions tonight.
Yeah, no, it's what I'm saying. They try to press in the neutral zone, and if you misread it, and there were a couple misreads, he wasn't the only one that made misreads in the game, you're going to get exposed, and that's exactly what happened. Your eyes are not lying. They're telling you the truth.
All right. So once again, we talked about that great start. Why don't we get to it? It's 1 minute and 6 seconds into the game that Slafkovsky to Caulfield. Myers is out of the play to Suzuki, who escapes Marcus Pettersson on a breakaway. He's a right-handed shot. He gets caught too wide and says, you know what? Let me try and cut back in and put it to my backhand. Pierre, real good hands in close.
Yeah, no, spectacular by Suzuki, especially the body control and the ability to stop and go back against the grain is phenomenal. What I liked about it was good defense by Slafkovsky, strong in the puck in his own zone. Caulfield with the beautiful aerial pass to Suzuki, and Suzuki just grinding to the net. That's a beautiful goal, Tony. That encompasses everything you want to see from a hockey player. It was phenomenal to watch.
If you keep putting $1 on the Montreal Canadiens #1 line to score, well, you've made a couple of dollars this season. Go all the way with Betway. Get a free bet up to $200 if your first bet loses. Scan the QR code on the screen or click on the link in the details section to create an account. Redeem your welcome offer. Offer is only available for new customers. Terms and conditions apply. Offer is not available in Ontario. Must be 18 years of age and older. And please play responsibly. Let's get back to some of the score sheet if we can. But it was 8:34 into the hockey game. Pierre, one of the things that they don't show you all the time on replays is where a play actually starts, right? They'll show you maybe 10 seconds leading up to a goal. And what they're going to show you on Slafkovsky's goal is that, once again, Suzuki sees the puck fall in front of him, and Lekkerimäki is there as well, falls in front of them, and Suzuki doesn't touch it and just goes one way, but leaves the puck there. And then Slafkovsky takes it and goes down the left wing, and with a quick wrist shot, goes upstairs, glove side to score the goal. Pierre, that whole play starts with DeBrusk chasing down Lane Hudson behind the Canadiens' net. Hudson protects the puck against the boards and protects it with a skate. And then he gives a backhand pass to Slafkovsky. Slafkovsky's by the faceoff circle and in the defensive zone, and he lobs it way into the Vancouver zone. They bat it out of the air, and that's how it falls right to Suzuki. Slafkovsky makes his way up the ice in that time and picks up that loose puck and ends up scoring that goal. That's just, there's a lot of execution there. There's a lot of things they're doing right.
There is. There's another thing, too. It's what we've been asking Slafkovsky to do for a long time, move your feet with consistency. And he's been doing that a lot better, I think, over the last 10 to 12 games. But anyways, it's the creativity and the intelligence of Suzuki in the neutral zone to make it seem like he's going to make a play on the puck. He doesn't make a play on the puck. Slafkovsky comes with a head of steam. Kevin Lankinen's a good goalie, but he clearly lost his net. That's a great shot by Slafkovsky. I'm not going to take that away from him, but Lankinen definitely lost his net there.
One guy who finds the net often is Cole Caulfield. He found it for the 32nd time of the season. Pierre, the Canadiens go into period number 2, up by a score of 2-0 on goals by Suzuki. Suzuki is 20th, and Slafkovsky his 12th. And in the second period, once again, when I talk about they don't always show you where plays start, Slafkovsky touches the puck for Suzuki just outside, around the blue line. Suzuki enters the blue line. He's on a 2-on-1 with Caulfield. Marcus Pettersson's the lone defenseman back. Once again, Tyler Myers is caught out of the play. There's an incredible stretch pass, Pierre, that goes from right to left, from deep in the Canadian zone to just outside the offensive blue line, and it's a pass courtesy of Jaden Struble, who I thought had a really good game tonight.
Probably one of the best games I've seen Jaden play. I think he's starting to heat up, and he looks really comfortable playing, obviously, with Lane Hudson. There's no question about that. But on that goal, it's that pass from Suzuki to Caulfield. Yes, I know you talked about Jaden in the stretch pass, and yeah, I know Slafkovsky posted up in the neutral zone and made that little touch pass to Suzuki, but it's Suzuki off the rush. The feathering of the puck to Caulfield is just a thing of beauty. I can't stress enough, Tony, how great a game Nick Suzuki played. He was phenomenal in this game.
Pierre, I've been saying for a while now that Nick Suzuki's playing like a top 15 centerman, and I've been saying since they came back from the Four Nations that he's playing like a top 10 centerman. And a lot of people take exception and they say, well, Nick Suzuki's not a top 10 centerman and Nick Suzuki's not a top 15 centerman. Well, that's debatable, but he's playing like it, Pierre.
Well, I don't know why people would want to fight you on that. He's putting up the points. He's driving a line. He's made players better. Cole Caulfield's got 32 goals. He didn't do them by himself. I can tell you that right now. And it's not just 5-on-5 from Nick Suzuki. It's a creativity on the power play and the ability to open it up at other opportunities for other players. I know Lane Hudson's a maestro running the power play, but he's got to have some help in the orchestra, and Nick Suzuki's part of that. And so, no, I think Nick Suzuki's a legitimate 1A centerman. I think he needs some insulation in the 2-hole. I think everybody would agree with that. And once he does, this is going to be a matchup problem for a lot of teams around the league.
Pierre, I know this is a story that we can, this is a discussion we can have later on, but I'm wondering just, it came up earlier today. I was with JC at TVA Sports. Do you think Toronto will re-sign John Tavares?
I'd be surprised if he didn't give him a hometown discount. And I would be surprised if he didn't stay in Toronto.
Be a nice option if he was available.
He'd be a great option. He's not just a great hockey player. He's a great person. He's a great leader. I can't say enough good things about John. Again, having known him a long, long time, he's a tremendous teammate. He really is.
Pierre, the Canadiens played with Flyer a little bit there in period number 3. What are some of the things you think happened in that period?
The screening on the Roenick shot off the post and in. I don't think Montembeault saw that, the point shot. It gets assisted by Marcus Pettersson. And then the Elias
if I can, it's Pius Suter who's screening, by the way.
Yeah, so there's a big screen in front. I don't think Sam, I don't know if you agree with me or not, I don't think Sam saw it. And the Pettersson power play goal, Garland's there. There's just a mass of people, and it almost goes in the same spot as Roenick's shot. It's high blocker side. So I just don't think he ever saw those two shots.
Yeah, the Brusque was screening on that one. But, Pierre, that goal by Elias Pettersson, which makes it 3-2 at 11:08 of period number 3, happens because the Vancouver Canucks are on a power play. David Savard knocks the stick out of Pius Suter's hands. He's called for slashing. Marty St. Louis went absolutely nuts. So there's 2 plays I want to talk to you about. Number 1, the 3-1 goal. Suter's in the crease. St. Louis and Slafkovsky are talking about it. And St. Louis, it almost looks like he says to Slafkovsky, you know what? This one's too close. It's 3-1. If we fail with our call here and they go on the power play and they score, they make it 3-2. I'm not going to take a chance, but I'm wondering, do you think there was a case for goalie interference there with Suter in the crease?
I can't, I'm having such a hard time making goalie interference calls, and I'll tell you why. I've watched all the games tonight. And if you watch the Ranger-Winnipeg game, there's a goalie interference call, which I don't think is a goalie interference call. I actually think the defenseman from the New York Rangers made the interference on Shesterkin. And so I said, they're going to count that. That's going to be a goal. And all of a sudden they come out and say, no goal. So I don't know, Tony, at this point, what justifies goalie interference or what is not goalie interference. The one thing I would say, if what you're saying is correct, and I take you at your word, because, again, I watched the same thing you did, I think they did the right thing. You don't want to inflame that crowd. It's 3-1. Let it go. Let's just move on, and let's try to win this game.
In conversation with Pierre McGuire, I'm Tony Marinaro. Thanks for being here tonight. The Montreal Canadiens beat the Vancouver Canucks by a score of 4-2. And you're probably wondering, with all the games that went on tonight, where the Montreal Canadiens are in the standings. And I'll tell you in just a second. In just a second, I'm going to bring up a graphic. But in the meantime, what I will tell you is, just so you have an idea, that of all the games that were played tonight, there were some winners and some losers. The New York Islanders, there's about 2.5 minutes left in regulation. They're down by a score of 3-1 to the Los Angeles Kings. They've pulled their goalie. I'm going to go on the assumption, even though it's a crazy game, the game of hockey, anything can happen. I'm going to go on the assumption here that the Islanders are going to lose this game. The Boston Bruins beat the Florida Panthers by a score of 3-2. New Jersey beat Columbus by a score of 5-3. This is a big one for the Canadiens, folks, because Columbus was holding on to the second wildcard spot going into this game. They lost tonight. Ottawa, they won again. Ever since trade deadline, they played 3 games, and they've won all 3. 5-2 versus Philadelphia was absolutely terrible. Pittsburgh beat Vegas by a score of 3-2 in overtime. That was a surprise, I think. Carolina wins. They beat Tampa Bay by a score of 4-1. The New York Rangers lose by a score of 2-1 to the Winnipeg Jets. So let's bring up the graphic that I saw on RDS, and this is courtesy of RDS. Look at this. La course aux séries. The chase to the playoffs, or the run to the playoffs. First wild card spot, Ottawa, 73 points. They have 18 games left. Second wild card spot, Columbus, 70 points. They have 18 games left. Next up, Montreal with 68. They have 18 games left. The Rangers also have 68, but they have 17 games left. Boston also has 68, but they have 16 games left. Detroit to 66. They have 18 games left. The Islanders have 65. They're going to have 19 games left, or 18 games left after this one. I'm not sure, because this one's not over yet. 18 they'll have. But Pierre, this is it. I mean, they wanted to be in the mix. I mean, what a great opportunity. And by the way, note that Ottawa and Columbus will play each other 3 times between now and the rest of the season. And the Montreal Canadiens and the Ottawa Senators will play each other twice. There's a game in March here in Montreal and a game in April in Ottawa. Wow, Pierre.
Yeah, no, it's tremendous. It's great for the Canadiens. This is exactly what Jeff Gordon talked about when he was at the golf tournament. He says, we want to be in the mix at the end of the year. They're in the mix at the end of the year. I mean, it's phenomenal to watch. Obviously, that run after U.S. Thanksgiving was gigantic for the Montreal Canadiens. Tomorrow's game, or it's actually today's game now, Tony.
Correct.
In Seattle, that's going to be significant, Tony. That if they ever steal 2 points out of there, that they're very much alive. 1 point, they're alive.
Yeah.
Less than 1 point is dicey. It's dicey, Tony. They get 2 points tomorrow. They're very much alive.
Howard, Pierre, and I still awake? Well, I can't speak for Pierre, and I have all this energy, but I can tell you for myself, unfortunately, it's sugar. It is what it is. What I gotta tell you, bomboloni. They're known as puffs from heaven. It's fluffy dough and rich filling, differentiated from any other pastry you've ever tasted. Look at that. Available for order at bomboloniboss.com. Customers can build their box with the flavors they choose. Regular size and minis are available. Once again, bomboloniboss.com. We want to take your questions. It's your chance to ask Pierre. And once again, you are many now on YouTube. You are about 1,200 on YouTube. Sammy, if you can give me the number, how many are they on? How many are we right now on Twitter Live? Sammy will give me the number in just a second on Twitter Live and on Facebook Live. We're 1,200. We're about 2,500 total, Sammy says. Thank you very much for that, Sammy. We're about 2,500 total at 1:12 a.m. Eastern Time as we speak, because we are live, of course. Ask your questions to Pierre McGuire. I think we went through pretty much most of the game here. Let's go through some of the stats, the game stats at the end of the game, if we can, courtesy of NHL.com. There you have it. 27 shots on goal from the Canadiens, from the Canadiens, 31 from Vancouver, 54% the Canucks in the faceoff circle, Montreal 46%. Vancouver, of course, they went 1 for 3 on the power play. The Canadiens went 0 for 1. Only one power play for the Montreal Canadiens in this game. Habs out-hit the Canucks 31-22. Canucks blocked 21 shots. The Canadiens blocked 16. Giveaways were pretty much even, 16 for Montreal and 15 for Vancouver. 5 takeaways for the Canadiens and 2 for the Vancouver Canucks. Pierre, your thoughts on the Vancouver Canucks?
Rick Tocchet is not going to be happy with one stat. 31 hits for Montreal, 22 for Vancouver. He's not going to be happy with that at all as a coach. I know they have to go into Calgary tomorrow, just like Montreal has to go into Seattle tomorrow. So it's a back-to-back for both teams. Easier travel for the Canadiens because it's the same time zone. They have to go to Calgary. They lose an hour. So harder for Vancouver. That being said, Vancouver's hanging on for their life. I mean, they're not if the playoffs start tomorrow and game 1 was in Calgary, they wouldn't be in it. You know what I mean? They're out of it right now, so they got to get going. I didn't see a lot of urgency at the start of the game. I don't know if you agree with me, Tony. I thought the Canadiens were the much more urgent team. They had jump in their step. They were physical. They were moving the puck smartly. They were defending well. Sam Montembeault didn't have to do very much to start the game. I thought it was a real good start for the Canes, and it kind of got the Vancouver Canucks on their heels. I can't think Rick Tocchet's really happy with what he's seeing right now.
Pierre, look, I would imagine Rick Tocchet signed off on Elias Pettersson. Obviously, they gave him a long-term contract, right? He still has like 7 years left on it or whatever it is. That'll pay him like about $11 million a year, but he's a player that has a tendency to fall asleep, and this is a coach that does not have a tendency to fall asleep. You think it could be difficult between them over the next couple of years? Like if he doesn't play with more jam, is Rick the kind of, how do you see him handling that situation?
Well, we talked about Elias Pettersson's contract. Rick Tocchet needs a contract at the end of this year. He doesn't have one. So I don't know what's going to happen there. You look at the managerial suite tonight, you see Patrick Alvin, the general manager, and Jimmy Rutherford, the president of hockey operations. They didn't look very happy tonight. They just did not. So I don't know what happens there. But for Elias Pettersson, he's a critically important player, especially after you trade JT Miller out of town. He's a really important player. If he can get back to the level that he's used to and Filipino can continue to improve, I think they can be okay. But if Pettersson doesn't get better, I mean, that's going to be a problem for them.
We obviously are not going to be on for an extended period of time tonight because to be transparent, we both work tomorrow. But we will definitely take some of your questions. And you know what? As long as they're good, you can keep them coming. And you know what? We'll be willing to go up to, 15 questions or so or whatever it is. So, Sammy, bring them in. And if we have 15 good questions, we'll take 15 good questions. And if we only have 10, we'll only take 10. Nicholas says, what did you think of Joshua Roy tonight? Pierre, before you answer that question, what I'll do is I'll bring up the stats, the event summary, and I'll tell you exactly what the stats were for Joshua Roy tonight. Joshua Roy played 13 minutes and 33 seconds. He had one shot. He had one attempt blocked. He had a giveaway and 2 takeaways in tonight's hockey game. Pierre? What did you think of Joshua Roy?
And the coach tried to put him in a position to prove himself, especially at the end of the first period, and he almost got scored on. I think he was inconsistent tonight, but that's not really a difficult concept to understand. He's probably a little bit nervous. He's playing with different guys, with Newhook and Anderson in particular. Sometimes Gallagher was there as well on that line. But I would just say that I thought if you are to grade him, I'd probably grade him a C+. I just because of team one. I didn't see enough urgency in his game, and I'd see enough attention to detail in his own zone. He's got to close a gap quicker. He's not quick enough in closing the gaps defensively. He's in position, but you can't give guys time and space to shoot the puck, and he gives them a little bit too much time and space.
You know what? I have to tell you that I was watching the game tonight, and a buddy of mine was texting me, and he's like, you know what? Joshua Roy, not fast enough. And Pierre, you know what? Skating is a very important part of the game. You know that as well as I do. But when you're not fast enough, you got to make up for it with being very fast up here, right? And I that's going to come. I think he has that, Pierre, because look, I know it's a different league and a totally different level, but when he was playing with Canada at the World Juniors, like a lot of people underestimated what he can do without the puck, and he actually ended up becoming a pretty important player for Team Canada at the World Juniors. He actually was even used on the penalty kill, so he's got the hockey smarts for a guy who doesn't have the fastest feet to be able to put up the points that he did at the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League level as well, and be an offensive weapon at the American Hockey League. That means he's got to have IQ, Pierre. Now, NHL IQ is, NHL speed is.
Yeah, no, it's not so much about speed. I agree with you on the IQ part, but I can tell you, like, I've watched a lot of Laval games. There are games when he wants to play, and he's a dominant player, and there are other games where he doesn't want to play. I'm not saying he didn't want to play tonight. Now he's got to want to close the gap quicker. Now he's got to want to be more engaged physically. Now it's just not about dominating the puck and scoring. Now you got to be a complete player. He's not beating out Nick Suzuki ever. So he's not going to be the number one center. He's not going to get a lot of leeway. He's a guy that's going to have to play well on every shift he's out there. Just be consistent. Don't be an A one night and a D the next. Be a solid B+.
Let's continue to take some more questions. John Burton, Pierre, how are the Habs doing with their 7-player profile? Pierre, once again, for those who are watching, maybe for the first time, or have watched before but have never heard you talk about the 7-player profile, A, what is it? B, who came up with it? Talk to us about that.
Well, Scotty Bowman and I kind of developed a 7-player profile from 04 to 05 because of the salary cap coming in. We were trying to figure out how would you build your team to be successful in the cap era, because you can't spend all this crazy money because you just don't have it. So what we came up with, you need 2 dominant centers, you need a power forward, you need an elite puck-moving defenseman, you need an elite shutdown defenseman, you need to have a top-end goalie, and then the 7th player would be a specialist, whether it be a power play player, whether it be a penalty kill player, whether it be a face-off player. So the Canadiens have one of the 2 center icemen. They've got a potential power forward in Slafkovsky. They've got a specialist forward in Jake Evans. They've got an elite puck-moving defenseman in Lane Hudson. I think they're still looking for an elite shutdown defenseman. I don't think that's what Mike is. Mike's a good defenseman, but I don't think he's an elite shutdown guy. Carrier's not an elite shutdown guy. But if you don't have that elite shutdown guy, you got to be redundant in another position. So the other puck-moving defenseman is Carrier. So, do I think the Canes have a super elite goalie? No, but I think they have a good goalie. So they're getting close to hitting the profile, but they have not hit the profile yet.
Fowler will be there one day?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So Suzuki, Slafkovsky, Evans, Hudson. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 will be Fowler.
Mm-hmm.
The shutdown defenseman? Okay. And can Demidov end up checking one of the boxes of what you just said?
Yes.
And what box would that be?
Well, he could be a specialist forward. He could be redundant at the specialist forward, say, if him and Jake Evans. He could be a dominant offensive force.
Okay. But you had 2 puck-moving defensemen, did you not?
No, 1 shutdown defenseman.
One shutdown defenseman, 1 puck-moving defenseman.
You need an elite shutdown. That's where you're shut down.
Okay. Right, so once again, all 2 elite centermen.
Yep.
All right. So second center and shutdown defenseman, and Evans. It could be Evans or Demidov, so it'll look like this. I don't know if it's coming up on the screen, but that's what it'll look like. Yeah, right.
Yep.
All right. So
you're getting there.
can the shutdown defenseman be David Reinbacher?
It could be. It could be. That's a position that's more of a mature position, but it could be 100%.
All right. So you're talking about going out there and getting more of a veteran player in the next couple of years? Yeah.
I think the summer shopping season is going to matter for this team. Second line center is not in house right now. And Tony, you heard me say it, and I know you said it. That they went out and got Kirby Dach not to be a second line right winger or to be a third line checking center. They brought him in here to be a second line center and insulate Suzuki. He's not going to do that at a high level.
No.
I think we all agree on that.
Yeah. And all right. Okay. So shut down defenseman. So you don't have Caden Gooley being that guy.
Cade's a good puck mover, but I don't elite shutdown guy. I just don't know if he has the width. He doesn't have the height.
And by the way, stats have shown, and Pierre, you can tell them this, right? The importance of having veterans on a team, but in particular, a veteran defenseman or several veteran defensemen. Teams that have won the Stanley Cup here have had at least one. Some have had two, and some have even had three defensemen in their 30s on those teams.
Hey, I had Shel Samuelson and Gordy Roberts. Both of them were older than me by a bunch of years when we won our cup in '92, and Gordy was older than me in '91 when we won our '91 cup. So yeah, no, you got to have those older guys. They matter. I'll give you an example. They know when they can take a penalty and when they can't. They know how to communicate with players in their team where a lot of young guys don't know how to communicate. When a building's loud and it's shaking, you need one of those veteran guys to calm everything down. It sounds so easy. It looks so clean on TV. Yeah. It's not that sanitary. It's a lot more difficult.
Let's get to some more of your questions right here on the Habs postgame, the Sick Podcast with Marinaro and Pierre McGuire. The Jets man 21 says, thoughts on Slafkovsky tonight, Pierre? I thought he looked phenomenal tonight.
He was outstanding. Tony touched on it right off the top of the show. I'm going to support Tony on that. I thought he was great. The first goal was a thing of beauty. I mean, for the Montreal Canadiens, a great defensive play by Slafkovsky, being strong in the puck. You move it, obviously, to Caulfield. Caulfield saucers it up to Suzuki. What a start to the game. And Slav shot, it was a great shot. It was a smart play by Suzuki in the neutral zone. I thought Kevin Lankinen lost his net. But what I liked is he's moving his feet. He's being physical. He's showing he can be a power forward. He's a load to handle, Tony, when he's playing like he played tonight.
He was a load to handle for sure. He played 16 minutes, Pierre. He had 4 shots on goal. He had 2 missed shots. He had 1 hit in tonight's hockey game. He also had a goal, 2 assists, 3 points, and he was a +3. Juraj Slafkovsky. Pierre, back in the day, used to call players like that
monster.
He was a monster tonight, Pierre. He was an absolute monster. Your next question. Let's go. Slapstream Gaming says, I get Demidov is supposed to be elite, but I don't know how you break up the first line. You don't have to, Pierre.
You don't.
No.
You don't. Hey, again, I'm going to just touch on this. Ronnie Francis in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Jaromir Jagr's in the Hockey Hall of Fame. Joey Mullins in the Hockey Hall of Fame. I had all those guys. Jagr sometimes played on the third line. Sometimes Mullen played on the third line. They all can't. You just. It's okay. They don't have to be on the first line. The deeper your team. I mean, Mark Messier was never a number 1 center in Edmonton until Wayne Gretzky left. So
Pierre, there are obviously different kinds of centermen, but knowing that Demidov is coming, and once again, we can tackle this on a later podcast, but you know what? We're here and we're talking, and why not? I got the adrenaline going. I think I'm going to go until 3 o'clock in the morning. All right. I'm kidding. We're not doing that. But knowing that Demidov is coming, is it important that the centerman be a veteran centerman, so that he can have also a certain influence on Demidov, so he can bring him in, so he can help him, so that he clearly understands his position, because Demidov thinks the game a certain way and maybe a younger centerman might not do? Or what kind of profile of a centerman are we looking for to be a perfect fit for Demidov, the way Suzuki is a perfect fit for Caulfield?
What a great question. I think you need an older guy. I think you need a player that's a little bit bigger, that understands the rigors of the National Hockey League, that's a very good puck distributor, but can play a solid 200-foot game without jeopardizing his offense. That's the kind of player you want to have. There's a bunch of them out there. Again, I just go back to personal experience. When Jaromir Jagr was 18 and 19 years old, we had Brian Trottier, Ronnie Francis, Marion Lemieux, and Yuri Herdina, older veteran players that were around him. And Jaromir could play with any of them up and down the lineup. But it really helped break him into the league. His first 2 years in the league, he won Stanley Cups. He never won another Stanley Cup again because he wasn't around all those guys. He was a phenomenal talent. He's still playing hockey. But that's to Tony's point. I think it has to be a person that's a little bit older, a little bit bigger, a little bit more mature, and somebody that can play the 200-foot game without jeopardizing offense.
You know that I'm not going to sleep tonight now looking for this kind of profile, right? Because you keep on doing this to me, right? You say there's a lot of them out there. There's just that. And then I don't sleep here.
Okay. It'd be he's not available.
Did Colorado just get one in Brock Nelson?
Brock Nelson's one. Charlie Coyle would be one, even though I think Charlie's better suited to be a third. Jordan Stahl would be one, but he's better suited to be a third. So you're following the gist of, those players aren't available. Brock might be available, but I don't know about that. If Colorado wins the cup, they probably keep him. So I don't know. We'll see.
That's
You get the gist of what I'm talking about.
I totally understand what you're talking about. Yeah, I'm just going to be looking all night for that player, though.
Well, there's a guy, again, he's a captain of the Winnipeg Jets, but a guy like Adam Lowry, he's better suited as a 3 than a 2, but if you had to take him, you would take him. Watch him play. He's probably one of the most underrated guys in the league.
I got a name for you. There's no way I think he's available, but I'll give it to you anyway, just because we're spitting here. Joel Eriksson-Ek.
Phenomenal. He's not available.
Yeah.
Guaranteed, but there you go. That's a good one. He's not available.
Yeah. I thought he fit the profile right.
He fits the profile perfectly.
28 or 29. He's about 6'3". He leans on you. He's got over 200 pounds. He's got hockey smarts. He plays a 200-foot game.
Spot on. That's a great one.
Let's go back. I don't know. Later we go. I think better I am. All right. Okay. Let's get to the questions. More questions. Jeremy Sentner. What is Dach's trade value come the summer, and could he be like a Pierre-Luc Dubois? Pierre, can I answer it very quickly? I think his trade value is 0.
Yeah, it's not very substantial. I don't think you're gonna. If you were to trade him, he'd have to be part of a package. I think he can't go. He's not a standalone.
But he's a question mark for any team that's going to acquire him. Like the
injuries are not helpful to him at all.
No, I mean he's played He's played 40 games in the last 2 years, 45. Like, well, how many games did he play this year before going out with that injury? I mean, it's not enough. No. It's not enough. And if teams want to acquire him because they think he's a centerman, he hasn't proven that he can be. Once again, in the face-off circle, the 200-foot game, the commitment, it's just not enough. I think his value is, with all due respect to Kirby, of course, I think his value is very low. Next question.
I agree. Like I said, he's not a standalone in a piece. He's got to have support if you're going to trade him.
Next question. The Rick Roller 1. I thought Beck was doing well. Why did he get sent down?
He wasn't doing well enough. That he doesn't fit in that role. I think of next year he'll probably take Dvorak's job in the 3-hole, which is perfect to break him in. It's outstanding to break him in. Still needs a little bit more heft in his game. But no, and I don't think the Canadiens coaches wanted to expose him to a lot of those minutes that a second center has to play. So is he doing well? Yes. Will he do better when he's playing in Laval and playing a lot of playoff games? It's going to help speed up his development a lot.
Bobby says, guys, 23 points in the last 17 games. Suzuki hits 90 points this season. Unreal. Pretty cool, huh? Pretty cool. Sean says you can't deal Kirby Dach this summer. I think I know what he's trying to say, right? You sell your stock when it's high. You don't sell it when it's low. But I think it's safe to say that if Kirby Dach starts the season with the Montreal Canadiens next year, and he will be playing in year 4 of his 4-year contract, that he's not going to start it on the top 2 lines. And if he does, it'll end up being on the wing because it'll end up being on the wing.
Yeah, well, we agree. But like I said before, he's not a standalone when you make a piece. When you make a deal, he's got to be a piece of a deal. He's not going to be going on it by himself if he's traded.
Pierre, there's a lot of chatter surrounding Patrick Laine. I mean, I've never been one, and I'll never question any player and what they're going through and all that stuff, injuries, because they know and I don't know. But I don't know how many times he's going to get the flu, but I think he's got it quite often this year. I mean, I didn't get it once. I mean, I don't know about you, but a couple of times now. Patrick Liney's got the flu.
Yeah, Tony, I don't know. I hate to speculate about players when their injuries. Sometimes the guys play through so much.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's ailing him, but the Canadiens could utilize him tomorrow night if he was available.
Pierre, so let's just say, if for a guy who would know that, you would know this, but let's just say he had an issue with a knee. Could they be saying flu to not say it's lower body or it's knee or whatever? Have you seen that before?
Yeah, I've seen it before, but that was back in the dark ages. More times than not, injury reporting is pretty clear now. Sometimes guys play a little bit. They'll say upper body rather than say it's an elbow or a shoulder. They'll say upper body. But more times than not, that stuff was done many, many years ago. I don't think it's done that much anymore.
Pierre, we'll take one more, okay? One more.
Do whatever you want. I'm here for you. I'm having a blast.
All right. Ron Burnett says, should we be worried about our schedule facing Florida 3 times, Carolina? What do you think?
It's the NHL. That's what I think. Every team's good. And this is part of what goes on over the course of an 82-game schedule. They're not all easy. There's no question about it. The one good piece of news is they play Seattle tomorrow. Seattle's a non-playoff team. They should have a huge stroke of emotion coming out of the game tonight. It's not hard travel down to Seattle. It's very easy travel. I understand they've got to come home and play, I think, Florida on Saturday. Tony, is that correct?
As we speak, I just sent Daniello and Sammy at Master Control the schedule. They're going to try and bring it up right now so that I think it's obviously better if we have it in front of us instead of just talking about it for the benefit of our viewers who could actually see the schedule come up on the screen. Gentlemen, if you can actually bring it up any second here, I have sent it over to you. And it is going to be a very difficult schedule for the Montreal Canadiens, who, by the way, play their last regular season game on Wednesday, April 16. So Wednesday, April 16, the Montreal Canadiens play their last game of the season. But this is the month of March, and we're going to get to it right now. The month of March for the Montreal Canadiens. Okay, so tomorrow night they're going to be in Seattle, and then they'll travel back. Thursday, they're back, which I think it's safe to say, Pierre, will be a day off after having a game in Vancouver on Tuesday night and a game in Seattle on Wednesday night. Friday, they will practice in Montreal and Brassard in preparation for the Florida Panthers, who they will play on Saturday night. They'll have Sunday off. They'll practice again next week on Monday in preparation for what a big game this one is. Holy jumping. The Canadiens on Tuesday, March 18, will host the Ottawa Senators, who right now hold the first wild card spot. On the 19, no game. On the 20, they face Patrick Roy's Islanders in New York. And then a couple of nights later, they face Patrick Roy's former team that he won a couple of cups with, the Colorado Avalanche, and Nathan McKinnon. Pierre, is Nathan McKinnon right now on Wednesday, March 12th? He is?
He is the MVP of the league right now. Yes, I know people are going to say Leon Draisaitl if they're Edmonton Oilers fans, and I get it. Leon's had a phenomenal year. Nobody's been better than Nathan McKinnon. Nobody.
So it wasn't quite my question, but it'll probably be the same answer because it could be pretty much the same question. Is Nathan McKinnon right now on Wednesday, March 12th, the best player in the world, Pierre, in your opinion?
Right now, if you were to say I would say yes right now. Yes.
So you think basically that it's that close between McKinnon and McDavid that depending on how they're doing, that answer can change. That's how close it is.
Here's how I describe it. McDavid is the fastest player in the league with the puck on his stick. McKinnon is the most powerful player in the league with the puck on his stick. They manufacture offense completely differently. McKinnon's offense is created off of short burst, whether it's through the neutral zone or from the hash marks down to the icing line to the net, where McDavid is just free-flowing. It is all tempo all the time. It's two completely different ways of manufacturing offense.
Pierre, before we let you go, and we're going to end with this, preview the game versus the Seattle Kraken tomorrow night for the benefit of all of our viewers and all of our listeners. What kind of game can we expect? What kind of team is Seattle? What will they try and throw Montreal's way? Talk to me about the Seattle Kraken and what kind of game you expect.
Seattle plays a lot better in their own rink. They play really well in their own rink. The fans are really rabid there, which is good. It's a great environment, especially if you're the road team and you get a good start. It can kind of go against the home team. I would be attacking this Seattle defense. I'd go right after them. I'd play a very aggressive forecheck game. I would run a very significant cycle game. I would be getting a lot of bodies to the net. They don't clear the crease as well as they need to. They've made some moves where they've moved some players out. They're frustrated. They don't defend very well at the center ice position outside of Matty Beniers. It's something that I think they need to be better at. Their face-off play is helter-skelter. Some nights it's good. Some nights it's not very good. But this is a team that's searching for confidence. They're searching for an identity in Seattle. They don't have much of one right now.
They're there for the taking, Pierre?
Yeah, they are. They really are. You know, Tony, you showed something on the schedule that I think is really relevant. You know, if you look at that schedule, outside of the one back-to-back, there's a lot of – it's the back-to-back tonight, and then you see the Philadelphia-Carolina back-to-back. That's not hard travel either. There's a lot of rest days in that schedule.
It's not a lot of but that's 3 games in 4 nights. Like that I don't.
Yeah, no, but that's so people misconstrue that so you see where the Carolina game's on a Saturday, and then the St. Louis game
on a Friday
or not the Carolina, the Colorado, excuse me, is on a Saturday.
Colorado's on a Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, and then you got Sunday and Monday, and you travel to St. Louis. That's not that hard. The problem's going to be that back-to-back Philly Carolina. That's the one where they're going to have to. But the rest of that schedule is manageable. It really is.
If I can, Pierre, I'll take it a step further, but not before I talk to you about Energy Transportation Group, a leading full-service logistics provider serving all of North America. They are driven to be different. And a special shout-out to Bittt, Tibi. They launched their new Ultra Lager, refreshing, thirst-quenching beer, perfect for chilly winter days. Only 90 calories, 2 grams of carbs, 4% ABV per can, available in a pack of 6 and 12 in grocery stores all around the province of Quebec. Ultra light, ultra refreshing. There's one more thing I don't like about this schedule. You talked about the fact it'll be 3 games in 4 nights when they play in St. Louis on Tuesday the 25th, in Philadelphia on Thursday the 27th, and in Carolina on Friday the 28th. The second thing I don't like, besides the 3 games and 4 nights in that third game, is take a look at the last game of the month of March.
In Florida.
Is on a Sunday afternoon. So when they play in Philly on the Thursday night and they play in Carolina on the Friday night, that game versus Florida ends up becoming their third game in 3.5 days.
Yeah, no, that's why I pointed out that part of the schedule. That's the only part that really concerns me, is right in there. So that's something where they're going to have to manage their bodies, and hopefully they'll be able to stockpile points on home ice. They've got Florida at home, Ottawa at home, and Colorado at home. You got to stockpile points for those home games, and a win tomorrow in Seattle, or actually today in Seattle, would be mammoth for the team. Tony, I have a present for you.
Yes.
I think on the Tuesday when they're playing Ottawa, you touched on it very, very well. That's a huge game. I think the Tony Marinaro Sick Podcast should do a pregame show and a postgame show, Tony. I lay that out there for you.
Pre-game show and a post-game show. I'd have to start the pre-game show at 6:30 though, because at 6 p.m. I'm going to be on the road on the way back from television.
That's all we need. We only need a half an hour. I'll join you on that. We do a half an hour pre-game show and get everybody excited for the game.
We'll discuss it with Agnello for sure, because you're right. It's shaping up to be a huge game. Tomorrow night's shaping up to be a huge game as well. Folks, I'm going to be totally honest with you, as I always am. We hadn't really planned to do a post-game show tonight. And at one point later, late this afternoon, we said, we got to do it. Let's just do it. Everyone deserves it. And you know what? The Canadiens are in the mix. We hadn't planned to do one tomorrow night, and the game's going to start even later. It's starting at 10:30 Eastern instead of 10. So no promises. I'm not going to tell you that we're going to be on tomorrow. We haven't planned to do one, but we're all crazy in this company, like all of us, right? So you never know. Pierre, thanks so much. We'll talk to you again.
All I can say is if you need me tomorrow night, I will be ready.
Thank you, Pierre.
All right.
We'll talk to you soon.
You got it.
Pierre McGuire, thank you very much for everyone for staying up. Listen, we were almost 3,000 tonight on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, and that's very, very much appreciated. We love you all. I thank you very much for your support. You've been with me since day one, 22 years and counting. Without you, I cannot do it. Thank you very much. Canadiens win by a score of 4-2. What a game by Suzuki, Caulfield, and Slafkovsky. The number one line tonight, as Pierre McGuire would say, we're all monsters. And so are all of you. Go Habs, go. Once again, the standings, before we break away, the standings are, look at this. Look where the Montreal Canadiens are. Ottawa, first wildcard spot, 73 points. Columbus, second wildcard spot, 70 points. Montreal on the outside, but looking in, 68 points, just 2 points behind Columbus. They played the same amount of games. The Montreal Canadiens tomorrow night in Seattle. Talk to you soon. Thanks for watching the Sick Podcast.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast with Tony Marinaro on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts. The Sick Podcast is brought to you by Energy Transportation Group, driven to be different. Tibi. Embrace your true nature. And Playground, your premier gaming destination.